Are you tired of the endless stream of fantasy marketing and vanity metrics? Yeah, so am I. My name is James Patrick, and I'm an internationally published photographer, media specialist, and marketing strategist. I'm also a student of professional development, and like you, I've been left frustrated by all of this influencer-driven generic advice, making us think that we are just one course, conference, or manifestation away from the life of our dreams. We need to cut through this crap and move beyond the posturing, beyond the facade, beyond the image, to take real action on the real work that will create the real results. This is the Beyond the Image podcast. What is going on? And thank you so much for tuning in to a brand new year and a brand new episode of the Beyond the Image podcast. So truly honored that you could take some time to get a little information and get a little inspiration to help you in your entrepreneurial journey. Now that we're into a new year, and I'm sure, no doubt, you've set some aggressive goals for yourself, and hopefully that you're setting out some plans to actually achieve those goals. I wanted to bring on a very special guest, someone I've been working with over the last few months now. She just dropped her brand new book. It's available now. The book is called Breakproof: 7 Strategies to Build Resilience and Achieve Your Life Goals. And she wrote this book at the end of achieving a world record. And we're going to dive into all those details. Super excited to welcome the one and only Jenn Drummond to the show. How you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to chat with you. So let's dive right into the world record that you set. What was it? Because you're the only woman to ever achieve this accomplishment.
Yes. So I am the world record holder for being the first female to climb the 7-second summits, which sounds like a tongue twister, feels like a tongue twister. It's the second highest point on each of the 7 continents. I was inspired to do this by a challenge from my son, surviving a car accident, and set on to pursue it to bring some significance to my story. And here we are.
I mean, I'd read that the 7-second summits are actually often considered more challenging than the first summits. What makes them more challenging?
Yeah, I think it's a variety of things. One, location, right? A lot of them are in unique areas that are just harder to get to.
Mhm.
2, you do not have them as commercially traveled. So you don't have the notes or the resources or all of the different teams on these mountains. And then 3, like topography, just some of them are more difficult. If you look at Africa, the highest point in Africa is called Kilimanjaro. It's a walk. The second highest point, for some reason or another, is a 20-pitch rock climb, followed by some ice climbing and then rappelling off of that mountain. So you have to have technical skills to be able to climb it.
So you mentioned that you were inspired by a challenge from your son as well as through a car accident, but had you ever done climbing before like this? Like why this thing? Because this is such a, and the fact that no woman has done it before, this is such a big challenge to set for yourself.
Yeah, in 2018, I was in a car wreck that should have taken my life and didn't. And I kind of say it woke me up to living. I was definitely
Mm.
going through the check boxes of life and just going through the motions, not necessarily unhappy, just not thriving. I told myself that once my kids launched, then I could get back to me. I'm not really knowing how to do both at the same time. Well, the car accident happened and I realized, man, I do not get to choose when I die. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I didn't die, but I sure get to choose how I live. And I need to start living, because what happens if that was my last day? What happens if my
Mhm.
last day is in the next year or 2 years or 5 years? Like, what do I want to do with this experience while I'm here on this planet? And so 2019 became this big year of who's Jenn? What does she want to accomplish? What does she want to experience? And I made just bucket lists of things that I wanted to do and see and explore. And on that list was climb a mountain. I was turning 40 in 2020. So I thought, hey, why not climb a mountain to launch this next decade of life? So I asked some friends that were into mountaineering, if you could climb one mountain in the whole world, what would you climb? And the
Mhm.
general consensus was a mountain named Ama de Blam, which I had never heard of. But my friends told me, it's the Paramount Pictures logo. It's that
Mm.
mountain. So every time you go to a mountain, like a movie, you can say like, I climbed that mountain. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll climb that one. That sounds great. If we zoom back to 2020, COVID came. So I'm
Mhm.
not climbing any mountain or doing anything. In fact, now I'm a homeschool teacher to my children because school's out of session and we're all worried that the world's going to end. So one day I'm giving my son a pep talk about his homework. And I'm like, come on, buddy, we do hard things. He goes to me, Mom, if we do hard things, why are you climbing a mountain called I'm a Dumb Blonde instead of a real mountain like Mount Everest? I'm like,
Ooh.
I'm a dumb blonde. Ama de Blom, honey, not I'm a dumb blonde. What? I was like, I'm like, what? It like took me a minute. I'm like, I'm a dumb blonde. Oh my goodness. He's been hearing I'm a dumb blonde the entire time I've been training for Ama de Blom. So that happened. And I'm like, you know what? Finish your homework. We'll look at Everest. So he did. We did. He went to bed. And I was still looking at Everest. And I thought, you know what? If this kid thinks Everest is the hardest thing in the whole world, I'm going to climb it. And I'm going to show him that whatever Everest is, we're capable of summiting. So I call a coach, kind of half hoping he's going to say I'm crazy and like stop. But oh
Mhm.
no, the coach is like, yeah, Jen, sounds great. I'll get you ready. You used to be an athlete. You'll be fine. He's like, buy this book about becoming an uphill athlete. Okay, so I buy the book. I'm reading through it. In the front, there's a lady who got a Guinness World Record. And I must have been having a terrible day. Homeschooling wasn't going awesome. I wasn't the cool mom. I had this conversation with my coach, kind of half venting, half whatever. I'm like, I could have done the thing that lady did. In fact,
Mhm.
if I did that thing, I would be the coolest mom in the whole world because this homeschooling thing is not cool. And I need something exciting again. And my coach is like, okay, cool. I'll think of something. And the conversation ended. Like I didn't even think about it until he calls me back a few weeks later. And he's all excited. He's like, Jen, I have the perfect world record for you. Yeah. He's like, yeah, listen, I think you should be the first female to climb the 7-second summits. And like everybody listening, I'm like, I don't even know what you just said. Like, what is the second set? What? And then he kind of got into it. He's like, listen, he goes, the 7-second summits are the second highest point on each of the 7 continents. It's harder than the first 7. Only one male has done it. So you'd be the first woman. And he goes, 7 continents, 7 mountains, 7 children. Sounds like a jackpot. And I cannot tell you to this day why it did to me too, but it was one of those whole body yeses. And I hadn't even slept
Mhm.
in a tent before. And I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. Who am I to even take on this challenge? But I think it's just a combination of everything that was going on in my life. And I wanted to do something significant. And this felt worthy of the challenge.
I adore how you glossed over the fact that you're a mom of 7 kids.
Yes.
You just I
That's
mean, it was
so.
so casual that you slipped that in there, but I think, like, let's call that out as well. Like,
Yeah.
you're not just, over 2020 homeschooling 1 or 2 kids, you're parenting 7 children.
Yes. Yes, those
Ooh.
7 little blessings. As my son, who was in kindergarten, came home from school one day saying, he's like, Mom, did you know that babies are blessings? I'm like, they are, honey. He's like, yeah. Are we going to get one every year?
Please no.
I'm like, I sure hope's not going to continue to happen. Like, we're almost out of embryos, buddy. Don't you worry.
Oh my goodness. So, what was the first mountain that you ended up scheduling as you set off for this, uh, unbelievable world record?
Yeah. So a lot of it was determined on what was open
Okay,
because so many countries were closed because of COVID still.
that's
But
right,
I
okay.
did go to I'm a Dumb Blonde first. So I climbed that one to get that under my belt.
Uh-huh,
Most amazing experience. Probably still my favorite mountain that I've climbed, if I had to be honest. And then I went to Ojos del Salado, which is in South America. It's in Chile. It's
mhm.
the second highest point for there. Probably my least favorite climb. How about that? Um, I just remember going from Ama to there thinking, oh goodness, I hope the rest of these mountains aren't like this one.
Well,
It
what
was just
changed?
So Amma is this gorgeous mountain in the Himalayas with like beautiful people and beautiful things around and so much visually stimulating things. And then
Mhm.
you go to Ojos del Salado, which is a dormant volcano. Okay,
Mm.
so a volcano is like a pimple in the earth. It just
Yeah.
pops out of the sand. There's nothing pretty to look at. It's pretty much like hiking a dirt, like there's no visual distraction. You literally are like,
Mm.
okay, I've been hiking for 3 hours. Please tell
Yeah.
me we're making progress because there's nothing to visually tell me that we've made any progress whatsoever, except that my watch says I've been hiking for 3 hours. So it was just an entirely different thing. And the crazy thing about Ojos del Salado, like I'm new to mountaineering, so I don't know what's normal or not normal. We
Mhm.
pull up to one of the base camps. I'm like, why? Why is there a container here? Like, don't those belong on railways and like semi trucks? Like, why would we have a container in the middle of the desert on this mountain? They're like, oh, well, the wind is so bad that your tent will rip. So for people to camp here, they have to sleep in that container.
Mm. Mhm.
I'm like, when was the container last cleaned? Like, what? Like, really? Like, yeah. And I'm not kidding you. Never's been cleaned. Just letting you know. And the entire time you climb this volcano, the whole day, you hear the sound of like the wind does not quit.
Just
And I had
relenting.
no idea how like painful that sound is all day long. I'm like, this is torture. This is pure on torture. If I'm mad at my kids, I'm just gonna put them in a wind tunnel. This is next level.
Can you listen
So
to
that was
white
that.
noise machines anymore, or is that did that kill white noise machines for you?
No, because those are consistent,
Oh, okay.
right? Like the wind is not consistent. So you never can relax into the sound of it because it's
Mm.
chronically shifting.
At any point in the early onset, or I suppose in the later, climbs, did you like, "What did I get myself into?"
Oh,
Like, because some people set a goal of like, "I'm just gonna lose 10 pounds this year." You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the only woman to climb this feat, so screw you."
yeah. There was a bazillion times that I'm sitting there thinking, I paid for this. I paid for this. Like, I could have done anything. 7 nicest beaches in the world. I could be like, I mean, all the things. It's terrible. So there I
So what
was doing the thing, paying to do it, all the stuff that goes with it.
so, I mean, as you're kinda confronted with this, like, existential reality of, like, "I'm choosing to do this. Why am I choosing to do this?" What was the thing that got you to keep stepping forward?
Yeah, the me pre-car accident, for sure. The
So,
me pre-car accident was a
reflecting and
person.
contrasting.
Yeah, like I was this girl that was doing everything I could with as much force and as much intention. With like, and if something was hard, I doubled down. And I was almost running on this fear programming that I wasn't enough. There wasn't going to be enough. There's always more to do. Like, come on. And after I got into that car accident, I realized, why am I making this game hard? Like, why am I putting this pressure on myself? Why am I like saying these things? Like, I'm me versus me. And I'm the only one who's making my life this miserable, this hard, or like this story that I'm subscribing to. And so when I took on this pursuit, I'm like, I need everybody to wake up and realize you have so much more control than what you might be thinking. And these thoughts that you have need to be examined because if you're not having fun and enjoying this journey, you're missing the point.
Mhm.
So I had to do something really, really hard, like really, really hard, and still find fun in it. And that was the game. I'm going to do this thing, but I'm going to do it and enjoy it and have all this fun come out of it, and all this good come out of it, and all of this experience of life show up.
Mhm. As you're going through this process, what were some of the the more interesting revelations you had about yourself, because this is such a transformative journey that began with this car accident and continues to evolve with every summit that you end up climbing.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the beauty of it, right? That these climbs took me out of society. It brought
Mhm.
me into different landscapes, different cultures, different ways of doing life. And it allowed me to reflect on, what am I doing? Like, is this even me, or am I just in the flow of where I am and I'm doing that thing? So, for example, I'll never forget, I went to climb Ama de Blanc. It was after Halloween and before Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And we went over to Nepal. There was no pumpkins everywhere. There was no costumes. There was nothing. Like, everything was just, everybody spent time hanging out with each other and connecting to each other. I had just spent days boxing up pillows and cups and like Halloween decorations and everything else so that I could come on this adventure. And then I came home and we had like turkey pillows and all these things to celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm like, how much time am I putting into consumerism that's taking away from the relationships that I value the most?
Mhm.
And how much money am I spending on tubs and storage and things so that I can keep consumerism going? So we have a turkey pillow. I literally
Mhm.
got rid of every turkey pillow we had. I'm like, "I would next year, no turkeys, like no turkey pillows. I'm sorry. We could just have a meal with our family, and that is Thanksgiving. Is not all
Mhm.
this stuff."
That you're kind of convinced prior
Yeah.
to that you
I don't even know
need.
if you're convinced. You're just like, oh, if everywhere you go, it's in your face. You're like, well, I guess I better have it at my house so I feel festive, so that I'm not the
Mhm.
Grouch or the Scrooge or the Grinch. And it was just, so getting into these other environments and like learning other ways to celebrate things or to start like examining what you're doing and why, and using little tiny words that change the experience. So, for example, I went to a country and they were driving on the wrong side of the road. Just that little statement is terrible. How about
Mhm.
different? They're driving on a different side of the road. It's not wrong. It's just different from us. And how
Yeah.
often do we quickly label something wrong instead of different?
Mm. That's actually really interesting. As I was talking to my editor who's up in Canada, and I was like, talking to Canadians is kind of like talking to someone from a parallel dimension where things are just a little bit different and there's no real reason why they're different. The joke we were talking is like we say cliff notes and they say Coles notes. I was like, "Why? That is so strange and makes no sense. You must be from a different dimension." But yeah, I like that reframing of, "No, it's just different here. It's not better nor worse." And we tend to label it as different being worse or not
Yeah.
as good or not normal, I should say.
Yeah.
When did the inspiration as you're doing this for the book start to plant itself?
Yeah. That silly conversation that I sometimes, when I'm like, I wonder what I would happen in my life if I didn't have that one conversation. How much time would I get back? How many headaches would I not have? All the things that go into bringing a book to life.
Mhm.
So halfway through the pursuit, I go out to lunch with a friend of mine. And he's asking like a ton of questions about the adventure and all this stuff. And he's like, these stories are fascinating. He's like, you need to write a book and share these experiences. I don't even like mountaineering, and I'm loving these stories. I'm sitting
Mhm.
there thinking, yeah, I should write a book. Like, that's a great idea, said naive self. How fun will that be? And so I started writing this book, and I'm one of those people that once I start, I'm a hard stop. So I started
Mhm.
writing this book, and I'm like, there's so many parallels to climbing a mountain and building a business and having your best life, that if I can bring the reader to the experience, let them see it in a very black and white environment, make the message very clear, and then have that message be digestible so they can start applying it to their own lives. Now this success story turns into something significant because other people can be a part of it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that's how that happened.
So the idea is not teaching everyone in the world to climb summits, but to help people find their own summits and
Yeah, I mean,
accomplish
we all
those,
have a
whatever they
summit,
might
right?
be.
Like we all have a goal. We all have something that's pulling us forward and uphill. It's not we don't roll down a mountain, right? You don't roll into your goal. It takes intention. You have
Hmm.
to take the steps up. And like one of the key points in the book that's actually been hitting me hard right now with the holiday is big mountains take big teams. If you want to
Oh,
build a
interesting.
big magazine, you want to build a big company, you run a big family, you have this big pursuit like Everest, it's going to take a big team to get you to the top. This is not a one man band. And I think so many of us set these huge goals for ourselves and then we like think we're going to do it all by ourselves. We run out of
Hmm.
energy, we start negotiating, we start like coming up with excuses. And all I'm saying is instead of having an excuse, instead of compromising, stop for 1 second and say, oh, wait, am I climbing this mountain by myself? Is there somebody else that I can bring on my journey or have help so that we can get to the summit and it's actually enjoyable instead of compromising? And it's amazing how many people want to help, how little help you really need, all the things that come together to get you to the summit.
Hmm. Do you find that this requires planning in advance and then adjusting along the way, or simply being willing to adjust along the way? So basically, like, how much advanced planning is required for most goals or most summits?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to have a clear goal. And
Hmm.
then you're going to start backing into it and you're going to start building, you're going to anticipate obstacles and setbacks and all these different things so that you have the bandwidth to absorb them when they happen. And then what you're going to find out is all the things that you plan for, like 99% of them are not going to happen, but
Yes.
there's going to be stuff you didn't even think about, right? Like stuff you didn't know until you got onto the pursuit that because you planned for these other things, now you have something that can absorb the new stuff that you couldn't anticipate and you get to the top.
I think that is such a critically important point. I think when people set out to do something, I see them fall into a few traps. Number one is they didn't properly build any plan to begin with. So
Hmm.
they set out not having a plan and they get lost right away. And instead of trying to adapt, either the adaptations or the pivots or the audibles are just too severe, and then they end up making excuses or compromising, which you had talked about, or they just end up quitting, like, oh, this is too much. I just need to get back to this. Or they spend all their time in the planning phase and they're not satisfied with their plan and they never get started to begin with.
Right.
So it's kind of this middle ground of being willing to build a plan that has your best guess estimate of what you can anticipate coming up against, with also being willing to pivot and learn in real time as you're kind of going through the goal.
Yeah. I mean, every one of my journeys, not one of them went according to plan. And
Mhm.
some of them went so derailed and so sideways and so upside down. I'm like, okay, well, now the goal isn't to even summit. Now the goal is to just gain as much experience in this particular thing so that when I come back, I'm better prepared. Like
Mhm.
everything went crazy on every experience. And so it's learning to be, okay, well, this is a new thing. Let's see what happens. Okay, this is a new thing. Let's see what happens. And allowing yourself the flexibility to let it look different because it's going to.
So this mentality of this is a new thing. Let's see what happens. I feel like I come across that fairly often myself from building companies and industries I don't have a lot of experience to. I mean, just shifts in the world, the economy, industry, evolvements, advances in technology. We're always coming up against something that is completely different that we'd never experienced before. And it's not that we're not nervous about it or afraid about it or feel hesitation or fear, but we're just acting in spite of the fear or regardless of the fear. What was your process of kind of developing that inner muscle? Because that is something I think that it's not that we have this unwavering confidence, but we just have more courage within ourselves that we can handle these fears.
Yeah. I mean, I think the illusion of control is such an
Mm,
illusion. And when you're
mhm.
in environments that Mother Nature rules, you really learn like Mother Nature rules, right? You can have the best intentions and do whatever, but at the end of the day, she wins. This is her
Yep.
playground. We're just here to experience it. And so just allowing it to be, and it kind of like, I know as silly as this sounds, but I'm like, I am taking on the adventure of a lifetime.
Mhm.
It's gonna be an adventure. Like, so when stuff goes sideways or doesn't go, I mean, it's an adventure. I signed up for a crazy adventure. How would I not expect things to be whatever? And so, an example, I'm climbing in Russia and we get permits to go to Russia. It's one of these technical climbs. So I prepare gear, collect it, like try things on, layer it, have it all perfect, like as perfect as it could be. I ordered 20 pairs of gloves, sent 19 pairs back because I found the perfect pair that gave me the dexterity and the warmth and all the different things. I land in Russia. Guess what doesn't land?
Uh-oh.
All my bags. All my bags. Not one. Not even like not one. Like both bags gone. And I say they're like, you got like that's cute, universe. Like funny, right? Are you
That's
serious?
cute.
And my guide my guide is like, I'm, Russian. So no, not like loving and caring at all. No gear. We go rental store. We go. Otherwise, you go home because weather, no. And I'm like,
Yep.
what? So I'm like, okay, I either go home. I've been in an airport for the last 36 hours. Sounds terrible. Or we go to like a rental store and a store to buy stuff. All right. I'm not going, friends who are here listening. I'm thinking we're going to go to an REI or something like this. No, we go to like a TJ Maxx. All right. Like, I'm like, no, no, no. There's not mountaineering stuff in TJ Maxx if you haven't noticed. Like, this is what we have. And so I'm
Mhm.
going down these aisles trying to find things. It's totally picked over because no one has inventory coming in at this time of year because it's September of 2021. So everybody's out of everything. I have to buy Scooby Doo underwear. That's the only pair of underwear that will fit my body is Scooby Doo underwear. I'm like, I don't know when this is gonna all stop and someone's gonna throw a camera on me and be like, gotcha.
Yep.
But we're going with it, right?
Ashton Kutcher runs
And
out.
oh my God, I'm just like dying. And we go to climb this mountain, and the whole time I'm like, every step on this mountain I take is knowledge that I'm gaining. Every step's knowledge, every step's knowledge. By like the hair of our chinny chin chin and like the universe like laughing with me, we summit, which is
Mhm.
unheard of. And then we come down the mountain. My boots were too big, so like I broke a toe. So I'm butt scooting down sections of the mountain. I mean, I have like all the things. It is the ugliest pursuit I've ever had. We have no photos of it because I didn't have a camera. I was gone. But I also wouldn't
Mhm.
let anybody take pictures because I'm like, this stuff is hideous. We're not taking pictures of this, which I wish I would have now. But I get back to the United States 6 months later, Russia closes. I cannot go back to Russia. I still can't get into Russia to this day to go climb that mountain. If I did not
Oh.
allow all that crazy to go on, I wouldn't have the world record today. And keeping those kind of stories on speed dial is the difference between a summit and a pursuit.
Ooh. That's a mic drop moment right there. Um, I wanna unpack the title because I think there's a lot of meaning to break proof. When did you land on break proof, and what do you feel it defines for the readers?
Yeah. Everything that's tried to break me is proof I'm unbreakable.
Mhm.
Okay. Everything that's tried, like the car accident, the fight with everything that has tried to break me has given me proof of what I'm capable of, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and what I
Mm.
need to do to continue down this road to get to that mountain. And sometimes in that break, the proof that shows up is like, I'm climbing the wrong mountain. It's time to pack the bags and go a different direction. So for me, the title is We Break. That's okay. In the break, you have the proof of what you need to continue to pivot, to do whatever. But it's those moments that we get to reflect and restore and recharge to go up our mountain. So that's why I named it Break Proof.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I know that's a section in your book, which is realizing that this isn't the summit for you
Mhm.
and that you can give yourself permission to pick a new summit or to shift your goal. How does one determine the difference between realizing that it's just not your thing? This was the wrong choice or the wrong summit to climb versus this fear of being a quitter. How do you kind of
Yeah.
contend against those 2?
So story is the easiest way for me to illustrate.
Mhm.
I was studying to get my pilot's license. I had once gone with a friend on a private plane to go shopping, and it was like the most magical experience I ever had. I literally came home from the airport like singing Kokomo and like visualizing what it would be like if I had a pilot's license and could start flying. So I'm like, okay. So of course, I call, I set up a lesson, I go to the lesson, I start doing the lessons. I'm like, the whole time you're flying, or 99.3% of the time you're flying, you are trying to figure out if something went wrong where you'd land this plane. Right.
Mhm.
So, like, you're looking at all your gauges, you're looking at the environment, and then you're like, okay, this is what, if this happened, this is what I would do. And then you get to like relax for 1.1 second and be like, oh, isn't this pretty? And then, like, what's going on with the gauges? What would I do if I had to, blah, 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 blah. I would come home from those lessons, and then I would be starting to scan my entire environment for things that were going wrong. I have 7
Mm.
children at home, friends. There's stuff going wrong all day long. So it really put me in a bad mindset. I'm like, this is not helping, but I signed up for this, so we're going to keep going. So I keep going, and I take my 2 kids with me on a test flight with my pilot coach. And I have this idea again in my head that's just like sexy, romantic. We're not going to have to go through TSA anymore. Life's going to be amazing. And in the back of the plane are my 2 spoiled, rotten brats. And they want to know why they don't have a snack, where the bathroom is, and there's no TVs in this plane. Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock
Yeah.
Holmes, there's not. And so the whole thing was like, okay, this isn't gonna work because I can't fly a plane and police the humans in the back seat. So
Mhm.
awesome. But I'm like, oh, I'm still gonna go because I don't quit, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Mhm.
I go to take the testing. And then my flight instructor was like, hey, you're gonna want to let your insurance company know that you're getting your pilot's license because you want to make sure you're insured. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I call my insurance company. You would think that I was like, I don't know, smuggling guns or I have no idea, but my insurance premium was like 10x what it
Oh
was
my
before.
god.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, private pilots die and da 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 da, and this is high risk." And I'm like, "Okay, so I'm a grouch when I come home. My children hate it, and I have to pay 10x to do this thing. I'm done. Like, this was cute, fun activity, blah 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 blah." And so I went to my coach. I'm like, "Listen, I appreciate all the lessons. I'm grateful. I know what I know. If I was ever in a problem, I could help land a plane. I'm not continuing forward. It doesn't make sense." And so then
Mhm.
I could use that energy to do something else. But I didn't know that until I stepped into the thing and tried it. And then just checked myself a couple times to make sure, like, okay, am I quitting or is this really whatever? But all the evidence was stacked against me that what I was going to do this thing for was not what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so
You had
now it's
clarity.
time to stop and repivot and do something different.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. Um, you do a lot of, speaking and through that, you're no doubt hearing people's stories, and as people are reading the book and they're coming to you or, you have your own podcasts as well, and people are sharing their stories. What are the biggest or I should say the most common obstacles that you feel individuals are coming up against in their own journeys or their own quest for summits that you've had to help them try to navigate through or to be able to break through?
Yeah. They make problems bigger than what they are. They focus
Mm,
more on the problem instead of the solution, I would say,
mhm,
is most of the time. And so then it's like peeling back the layers. Is that you trying to self-sabotage so you don't have to go forward, or what's going on here? But I would say a lot of it is, I mean, my thing with climbing Everest. for example. My biggest fear of climbing Everest was how I was going to take care of my kids and how was I going to be gone that long. Okay.
Mhm.
So then I'm like, okay, my big problems are being gone too long and having my kids be okay. Well, being gone too long, what can I do to shorten the trip? And then I found out there was a tent that you could buy that you could put on your bed that would simulate a lack of oxygen environment. And I could sleep in that thing. So that just cut an 8-week adventure into 3 weeks. I'm like, amazing. Okay. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't say, here's my problem. Anybody have any ideas on how to solve this or anybody hear of
Mhm.
anything? And then I talked to my doctor. My doctor's like, well, there's something that football teams use when they go from Florida to Denver and have to be at that higher altitude. I would look into what that technology is. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so figured that problem out. Then my next problem was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks. Are my kids gonna be okay? And I'm like, okay, what can I do that makes sure my kids are okay? Get grandma out here, have a ton of help, have some extra help. I'm gonna go to the school. I'm gonna talk to the teachers. I'm gonna let them know, like, hey, mom's gone, so you can give them a little bit of grace because even though things are taken care of, it's not gonna be the same. And then my teachers came back and said, well, why don't you come in and teach about setting Everest goals and involve the school? And all of my problems were all eliminated because I was willing to face them head on and figure out ways to solve them instead of have them be excuses to prevent me from doing the thing. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of us just like to have the problem be the excuse.
And it's easy to, as you say, magnify a
Yeah.
problem so that it becomes insurmountable the more or the longer you wait to solve the problem or the longer you wait to investigate or the longer you put off trying to navigate it, yeah, the bigger it's going to seem because the closer you've gotten to it. I look at like goal setting is the same way. If you put off starting on something until you come right up against the deadline, well, it's going to seem too big to get it done because you've erased your runway to start
Yeah.
to navigate this.
No, and we like to I think we think of problems kind of as like as bonfire logs, where I'll all of a sudden have like 20 problems that I'll put in a pile. I'm like, oh, I can't do this because I have 20 problems in that pile. But you got to take one log out at a time and then address that log. And then all of a sudden that problem gets smaller and smaller and smaller till it's not a problem.
Mhm. Yeah. You're chipping away at it and you're breaking it into
Mhm,
manageable pieces. So you're handling problems much like you handle big goals is
mhm.
breaking it down into manageable pieces. And as you kind of were going through with that one thing, let's solve one thing and then the next and then the next and then the next. And all of a sudden you've come up with really innovative creative solutions that were not even apparent at the onset of it.
Yeah. I mean, I brought a hairdryer to Mount Everest because I was worried about my hair being wet, right? But I wasn't worried about that till everybody else was taken care of. And I'm like, okay, well, now this is a problem that I have a luxury of solving. How does it look?
Mhm.
Solved it.
Yeah.
Move on. Here we go.
So set a world record.
Yeah.
You wrote a book, which is available now. Um, what happens now?
It's fun because right now it's not actually fun for me, but I'm getting better at it. Everybody asks, what's next? What's next?
Mhm,
And I'm trying to teach my kids what is and allowing us to have a season of rest, a season of recovery, a season of restoration. And if I jump into something right now, then they get the message that we always have to be on. We always have to be chasing something. We always have to be doing. And so this year is a year to just be and celebrate and enjoy the accomplishment and trust that something else is going to catch my attention.
mhm.
Zero concern about that. I just want to make sure that everything, like I'm ready for it. And to be ready for it, I need to just recover from this last experience.
I am so glad that you said that because I think those who are high achievers like yourself, we are so likely to constantly move a finish line for ourselves. It's like, okay, well, I achieved this world record. Okay, let me write a book make sure the book has a great launch. Okay, well, you know what? Let me, what's the next step? Documentary. Let me work on a documentary. Oh, what's the next step? I should write a book about the documentary process. And it's this. it's this never ending thing. And if we're not resetting or pausing, what we're doing is we're robbing ourselves of, and this came up earlier, which is having the clarity to know what's right and what's not right.
Yeah.
And if we're in this constant go, go, go mode, we're never reflecting on what it is that we actually want. So the fact that you set this amazing record and then you did something that, most people just talk, oh, it'd be a dream to write a book someday. You were able to do that as well, to say, well, I'm not setting a goal right now. I'm just being right now, and I'm enjoying time with my family. And when I have clarity of what's next, then I will
Mhm.
embark on that. And I think that is such a beautiful point that I think, even I overlook all the time. I don't allow myself time to rest and reflect and reset to know what is the appropriate thing to do next, and thus we risk burnout or
Yeah.
fatigue or loss of interest within things.
Yeah, and our body gets used to going a certain speed, right? Like there's a
Mhm.
speed that we're comfortable in, and so it's learning how to downshift and be comfortable there too.
Yeah, I love that. Where can listeners go to be able to get a copy of Breakproof?
Yeah, so head to Amazon, I think is the easiest place. Type in Jenn
Mhm.
Drummond or Breakproof, you'll find the book. Head to my website, jendrummond.com. You can buy it there. You can find all my different social media handles as well and reach out on your platform of choice. And for those of us that are listening today, I kind of have a fun little surprise. If you
Oh,
text the word, yeah, surprises are fun, right?
I love
If you text
surprises.
the word Everest to the number 33777, you will be given a video that shows the Milky Way going over Everest Base Camp. It's one of those like little videos that can ground me into the moment and remind myself that all this crazy that I'm subscribing to doesn't matter. Like we are so significantly insignificant. It's a gift. So text Everest to 33777 and keep that on your phone for your own use.
I love that, and we're gonna make sure that is in the show notes. Jen, it is always such a pleasure to be able to chat with you. I'm so excited for the launch of your book, and I just cannot wait to see what comes up next for you. So thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the pod.
Yeah, thank you.